Hey guys, welcome to another episode of CUDA Education. So today I want to basically focus on this idea of a pipeline cache. Okay, so a pipeline cache is basically where you save the pipeline. Um, you save the pipeline. Specifically the sphere V to pipeline portion. Okay, so you have GLSL to sphere V, right? Which is something that we build. We build sort of outside of runtime at build time, right? You've seen me, compile shaders to spare V format, right? And then you have the spare V format to pipeline, right? So you're taking the spare V file now, and you're basically, you know, um, creating a pipeline, right? And that happens at runtime, and it's expensive, right? You also have pipeline bind at runtime and dispatch at runtime, but those things are relatively cheap. But what's expensive is the spare V to pipeline, right? And you remember, guys, the pipeline, the pipeline includes pretty much, for our compute example, it includes the compute shader module, specialization constants, pipeline layout, device features and limits, driver slash compiler version, stuff like that, right? If we were doing a graphical pipeline, it would include vertex input layer, rasterization state, blend state, render pass compatibility, etc., etc. Okay. Um, but what is part of this example is that we have a pipeline cache, right? Um, which is basically, you could save the pipeline cache to a file on your system, and then what happens is that when you need to rerun your application or what have you, you could simply just open up that file because it's already um, put into a blob, like what they would call well, here it's a bin file, right? But it's put into something so that you could basically run your run your application fast because you already have the pipeline saved. You don't have to recreate it, at runtime from spare V, right? It's already there. It's like sort of code, things like that. Okay, where this is important is when you have multiple pipelines because you have multiple configurations. So let's say you have an application and you have different configurations for the application, right? You could make these files that has these different specialization constants, and basically what would happen is that those specialization constants sort of configure the shader, right? The shader branches, the if statements, maybe the for loops, things like that, right? How much or what branch of the shader that does it follow. So there's this thing called a pipeline cache where after you create the pipeline, you could actually save it as a pipeline cache, and you could save it to file. Okay, so I mean, you guys know the compute example by now. It's a bunch of 32 numbers, and then we basically do Fibonacci or what have you, and basically the first two numbers is summed up to be the third number, and it just continues, right? Simple example. This is a compute pipeline. So what happens is that um, I modified basically the code so that we have create VK create compute pipeline, right? And we have as part of the as so VK create compute pipelines. As part of the pipeline creation, we also have pipeline cache, which is where we save the pipelines. Okay, so we save the state of the pipeline, and then it sort of goes into, it's basically a cache. For the default example we have here, it sort of gets destroyed once we exit the application, right? But I modified the file so that basically we have we create a bunch of extra pipelines, and then we save the pipeline to a file, right? Compute headless cache bin, right? So actually what I'm going to do is let us just run. We're going to run the application, and we're going to save the pipeline just with what was created by default from the default application. We're actually going to save it to disk. Okay, so when we run it, you know, as mentioned, I modified it so we have rope pipeline cache to compute headless cache bin. Okay, so what we're gonna do, and when you look at it, you see the size of the size of the cache. Okay, so when we look into the file, we see that we have an 8 kilobyte file. Okay, no big deal, right? Um, and again, this is the portion where SpareV goes to a pipeline. It's not a file. This is not a file that you could open up. This is not a file that you could really open up. It might show you some useful information, but for the most part, it's sort of proprietary. It's specific to the driver and specific to the hardware, the GPU hardware that you're using to run your Vulkan application, right? So it's not something that's designed for to be human readable, or for people to be able to open up and do stuff with it, right? It's really just, you're saving a state, and that's it, right? And when you want to reload your pipeline, you could basically reference the file and do so, right? But it's not something that you try to you're going to try to open up and view and manipulate and all that stuff, right? That's not the point. So anyway, we have a pipeline cache, and we can see that it's 8 kilobytes, as it is right now. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to artificially inflate. I'm going to artificially inflate the let's just start with 1,000, right? We're going to artificially inflate the number of pipelines that we have, because we want to see whether the file size of the cache changes, right? So before, it was just this one pipeline, and then we would dump cache right after pipeline creation. So we would basically dump it to a file, and we had the 8 kilobytes right here, right? But now we're creating a bunch of artificial pipelines. It doesn't really do anything, but notice that this p data changes, right? So every time k changes, this p data changes, right? So we'll just start with 1,000 pipelines, just to see what happens when we do that, right? So notice that now we go from 8 to 77 kilobytes, right? We still get the same results and what have you, but you could see that it's now changed, right? Um, and that makes sense. If let's just revert back. Let's see if I can keep this going. Um, you know, sorry, I gotta close this. Uh, you know, So you see, it goes back to the 8, right, that we had before, right? So then let us inflate this, the number of pipelines that we're creating. So to 2048. I had 1,000 before, now it's 2048, right? So let us see um, what's going on. I have an error. Oh, okay. So let's so now we're at 92, right? When it was 1,000, when it was 1,000, we were at what we were at. One second. Right. So when right. So at 1,000 we had 77. Let's do 4,000 now. Okay. Let's So when we do 4,000, we're now at 92, right? And as we inflate it more and more, so let's do 40,000. As we inflate it more and more, we're gonna get different file sizes, right? But the reason I bring this up is basically to say that right. So the reason I bring this up is basically to say that you know, as we as we bake in more pipelines, artificial pipelines that we create, we we change the size of the cache pipeline thing. Um, you know, so what happens is that if you could modify this algorithm to say, hey, load the pipeline that you have saved in file, and it would basically load that file. It would load that file, and perhaps you could choose which pipeline you wanted to run with. Again, one of the most expensive parts of running a computer graphics application is the spare V to pipeline link. It's very expensive. So if you could save that file and not have to redo it every time, and you could have your specialization constants where the specialization constants affect you know this variable, the buffer elements, and then you could have a basically, depending on what this is, you could have a line of logic that's different for each pipeline you create. Then you're ahead of the game. So that's the pipeline cache. It is part of the compute headless example, where we pretty much just do numerical stuff, and then we display it back onto we transfer the results onto the CPU, and then display the results. But very important concept. I'm not in a position right now to necessarily appreciate all that it can do, but we do know now that you know we could we have this option to save the pipeline and then reload the pipeline and run it, and have our application run faster. I mean, you could have 10, 15, 100 different pipelines. Here we have 400,000 pipelines, right? Trivial pipelines, but pipelines nonetheless, right? Again, these files are not, they're kind of machine code. They're not really meant to be human readable. And obviously vendors and everyone don't make it easier or allow us to look at it, right? but it is something that is a feature of Vulkan. As I said, Vulkan is a gift that keeps on giving. So here is another feature that is important and relevant to put in your toolbox. All right, this is good education, guys. Remember, if you want to join in on this conversation, tutorial number 1 is installing the Vulkan SDK. Tutorial number 13 is installing a bunch of examples, including this one. This is assuming you have a Windows-based machine with a Vulkan-capable GPU. If you want to be able to run the ray tracing examples, this is not a ray tracing example, but if you want to run the ray tracing example, you also have to make sure your GPU is ray tracing capable. For NVIDIA, that's RTX and above. AMD and Intel, I don't know. But thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. Let's build a channel. Have a great day.